Hey guys, another one take review, and today I want to talk about the new Machine Gun Kelly album, Mainstream Sellout, and also I want to talk about the fact that normally I have the album cover back there and on the TV so that it's there just for aesthetic purposes, but the only version on YouTube that I could find that will play on TV and have the full cover up is blocked by UMG. So I don't really care about Machine Gun Kelly enough to look for another version. So you guys get this small little box there. So you don't have to look at Machine Gun Kelly. You're welcome. Mainstream Sellout is the latest album from Machine Gun Kelly, as well as his second since his full 180 turn from rap to pop punk with 2020's Tickets to My Downfall. And while I was definitely not a fan of that record, like most people who are, mentally well because that album was horrible, I was still kind of curious to see if maybe he could, refine his sound a little bit, at least slightly, and I guess he did. The instrumentation here is pretty much basic pop punk overall. I mean, even if you've only heard surface level pop punk and emo, you've still probably heard the exact instrumental that can be found on a song like, say, Sid and Nancy, and really it's just nothing special. Machine Gun Kelly's guitar work is nothing to be impressed by, and just most of the instrumentals in general just feel like half-decent demos of old Blink-182 or Paramore songs, and I mean, that's pushing it because I like Blink-182 and Paramore. But nothing bad in terms of composition, at least. There's nothing here that's horrible. It could be a lot worse, I mean, everything's just very mediocre in terms of instrumentation. And I know I shouldn't expect a, groundbreaking artistic statement from a dude like Machine Gun Kelly, but you can't blame me for maybe wanting something that's better than meh. And that's what this album is, at least in terms of instrumentals. Meh. Beyond this, Machine Gun Kelly's self-presentation can be very obnoxious and grating at times. Mainstream Sellout is no different from his phony self-deprecation and oh, I'm so sad kind of thing, and his nasally whine that really kind of gets on your nerves within the first quarter of the album, to the fact that there are multiple times where, both in this album and in general in interviews, where he has subtly, implied that he's the one that's bringing guitar-based music back, which is, something that's never, ever been gone from the mainstream ever once. My point is, Machine Gun Kelly, he's kind of an annoying guy. If songs like Emo Girl weren't hilariously bad from their lyrical content alone, the vocal work of Machine Gun Kelly, as well as his overall personality and whatever character he thinks he's playing, it would have drug it down anyway. I mean, Machine Gun Kelly's ability to just completely ruin things is actually impressive. You could bring back Antonio Vivaldi himself back from the dead to compose one final great masterpiece, and then if you put Machine Gun Kelly's vocals over it, it would just lack any sense of credibility. The Four Seasons would be out the window. It would never be used as another phone ringtone ever again. It's just incredible how Machine Gun Kelly can take something meh and make it below meh, to varying degrees, of course. There's also a handful of featured artists here for some reason. Most of them feel pointless, and that especially rings true for rappers like Lil Wayne and Gunna. For someone that's supposedly trying to go in a new and different creative direction from his older works, Machine Gun Kelly sure likes going back to his hip-hop roots and leaning on more effective, more noteworthy, more relevant musicians to hold up his very weak and often just unnoteworthy performances. It's also a shame to see him go back to his roots because he may be a bad pop punk artist, but man, he was an even worse rapper. While there are a couple of featured artists here like Bring Me the Horizon and Willow that at least make contextual sense to be featured on the album, and I should say the two of them do make decent work out of what they're given, which admittedly isn't much, I'm still left scratching my head at the people that Machine Gun Kelly not only chooses to collaborate with, but just in general who he chooses to affiliate with. I mean, Pete Davidson, really? Pete Davidson. I mean, come on, everybody knows he's the most overrated SNL cast member within the past, 20 years. Now, if Mainstream Sellout does have one thing going for it, though, oh boy, it is the lyricism. The lyricism here is so, so good. I mean, really, the songwriting here is just horribly cringeworthy, but I absolutely love it as well. It's genuinely hilarious at times, and even though I don't like the lyrics here in a traditional sense of the word, I've never laughed this hard at an album, at least in a good while. It's hard to take any album seriously when it has lyrics on songs like Paper Cuts, like "Don't Belong, I'm a Punk, Hello World, You Fucking Suck." That is so good. That's just that, that's the pinnacle. It's the pinnacle of songwriting. It's all downhill from here, you know. Like I thought that maybe songwriting I could make that joke when like Bob Dylan died or something like that, but no, I get to make it here and right now because Machine Gun Kelly has really just reached new heights of intelligence for songwriting. There's also a couple of tracks like God Save Me that kind of step into the realm of really ridiculous conspiracy theories that really caught me off guard upon first listen. When I began to wonder how much of this album was ghostwritten by Tom DeLonge and his Blink 182 Jesus was an alien thought process, silly little mind of his, that's when I started to realize, oh hey, I cannot take mainstream Sellout at all seriously, and I refuse to review this as a legitimate piece of art. So overall, mainstream Sellout, it was a fun listen, but it certainly wasn't a good one. The way that Machine Gun Kelly is simultaneously able to take himself more seriously than most orchestra performers while also achieving a level of obnoxious self-pity that rivals and generally outdoes the worst of early 2000s pop punk and emo like Simple Plan is really impressive in its own right. At least the title track gets it right, which is you're no icon, you're just a parody, you might be relevant, but just barely. That's about sums up Machine Gun Kelly in general and everything he's done ever. He's just a truly terrible musician, but like I said, I have trouble listening to this and respecting it as an album. I have difficulty, I should say, respecting Machine Gun Kelly as an individual. He's just too much of a fake persona and character for me to even properly review in a legitimate sense because if I were, I would probably give this album a much, much lower rating than what I'm about to, but you know what? I got a few good giggles out of this one. I got a few good knee slaps and laughs in a few good chuckles. So I'm gonna give this one 2.5 stars out of 5. This is just it's garbage, but at least it's entertaining garbage. But yeah, 2.5 stars out of 5. With that being said, that's the end of this review of an album. I think it was an album. That's the end of this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.